So in writing it, this is what the myths that came out that's around the popular literature, and I'd like to see if you've heard them. How many of you have heard in the popular media, newspapers, or even books, that the adolescent period is this really, really terrible time that you can't believe you're getting into and you hope you can just get through it okay? Many of you heard that? And that message is so sad, and it's actually so wrong. As an adolescent, of course, if you hear that message, it makes you feel like, oh my God, what's going to happen, or what's going to happen to my peers? And so we're going to explore, in fact, how rather than being a period you have to just endure and barely get through, adolescence is an incredible opportunity for really wonderful growth. And part of that growth is about learning about the self, that you can do with mindfulness practices and other things we'll talk about. But part of it is just learning even about how your brain is changing, which we'll talk about soon. A second myth, and you can tell me if you've heard about this, is that adolescence is a time when your hormones are raging out of control. How many have heard that? Yeah, and that's actually not true. Hormones change because of puberty. So with sexual development, of course, there's a whole new set of hormones that are arising, and that is a change for sure. But the changes in the way we think as adolescents, or we feel as adolescents, or even how we behave, is not due to what happens with our hormones. So here's the idea, that it isn't the raging hormones that make for the changes that do happen in adolescence. It's actually changes in the brain that we're going to review in great detail in just a moment. The third myth that is really striking is, and maybe you've heard it, that adolescence is a period of immaturity, and that we don't get mature until like even the mid-20s. Have any of you heard that? Yeah. And actually what I'm going to suggest to you, thank you, what I'm going to suggest to you is that that's actually not only wrong, but it's a destructive way of thinking. Because then you enter the adolescent period, you say, well, I guess I must be just immature. So what would you do if the whole society was telling you you're immature? You'd be immature. Why wouldn't you? You'd have to be out of your mind not to do what people say to do, right? No, just kidding about that. But you would act the way people expect you to be. And so the problem with calling it immature is, first of all, it's wrong. And secondly, it's destructive. And thirdly, the truth of it is that it's a necessary period of change. And when you understand the way thank you very much. Sorry about that. No problem. When you understand the way the brain is changing during this time, you realize it's not a period of immaturity. It's necessary for both the individual and for our whole human species in order to change.